Welcome to Skillify English. If you're learning English, this is your B2 listening practice space. I'm your host, and today we're doing a deep dive into catastrophizing.
Oh yeah, that totally exhausting habit where your brain takes a completely neutral situation and instantly fast forwards to the most devastating disaster imaginable.
Right, exactly. So our mission today is to figure out why the brain actually does this, share some practical strategies to stop the spiral, and, just create a warm, supportive space for you to practice your listening.
Because, we've all been there, right? My brain is a remarkably creative storyteller when it comes to inventing disasters out of thin air.
Oh, completely. Like you get a text from your boss saying, we need to talk, and within 5 seconds, you're vividly imagining packing up your desk and living in a cardboard box.
Or an unanswered text message suddenly means a ruined friendship forever.
Brr.
Or you get a slight headache, and obviously it's a terminal diagnosis.
Yes, it is. It's just so painfully relatable. But before we can stop it, the sources say we have to understand the ancient biological threat detection system that's, causing it.
Right, the old office tiger. So thousands of years ago, if our ancestors heard a rustling bush, they didn't wait around to see if it was a cute bunny.
Assuming it was a bunny probably got them eaten.
Exactly. They just assumed it was a deadly tiger, prioritizing that danger, jumping to the worst case scenario that kept them alive. The problem is, today, there are no tigers.
But our brains still treat ambiguity the exact same way, don't they?
Yeah, because the brain hasn't really updated its software, so that we need to talk text. That's the modern rustling bush. When faced with missing information, it just fills in the blanks with terror.
Which brings us to the cruel irony here. When we do this, aren't we basically suffering twice?
Oh, absolutely.
We're putting our bodies through real physical panic, the racing heart, the adrenaline for a disaster that is entirely fictional.
And it feels so hard to stop because your nervous system, it doesn't know the difference between a real tiger and an imaginary unemployment crisis.
Wow. Okay, so to help you, the listener, put these concepts on trial in your daily life, let's take a quick word tour. We have 3 B2 English vocabulary phrases we're using today.
Good idea. Let's break them down slowly. The first one is catastrophize.
Right. To catastrophize means to automatically assume that the worst possible outcome will happen, turning small problems or uncertainties into imagined disasters.
Like panicking over a 10-minute flight delay. And our second phrase is jump to conclusions.
Which just means making a hasty, negative judgment without waiting for enough facts or evidence.
Exactly. Which leads straight into our third term, the worst case scenario. That's the most negative, most severe, or damaging outcome possible.
The exact place an anxious brain instinctively runs to.
Because anticipating disaster, it feels like preparation to your brain.
Okay, so how do we actually interrupt this ancient biological alarm? The sources highlight a really effective 3-step grounding strategy.
Yeah, step 1 is name it to tame it. The moment you feel that spiral starting, you literally pause and label it. You say, wait, I am catastrophizing right now.
But does just saying I am catastrophizing actually stop a racing heart? It sounds a bit too simple.
It does, biologically. Because when you label the emotion, you pull blood flow away from the reactive panic center, the amygdala, and move it into the logical language center of the brain.
Yeah.
You force a switch from feeling to thinking.
That is amazing. You literally step outside the panic to observe it. Okay, so what's step 2?
You act like a lawyer and demand evidence. When we jump to conclusions, we usually have zero proof.
Right.
So if your brain says a minor mistake will ruin your career,
yeah,
you have to ask, is there concrete, undeniable evidence for this?
So you essentially put your own anxiety on trial and you just watch it fall apart because it has absolutely no hard evidence to stand on?
Exactly. Which brings us to step 3. Ask the opposite question. Anxious brains are trained to ask, what if it all goes wrong? To break that circuit, you have to force your brain to ask, what if it all works out?
What if the boss just wants to know if you prefer pepperoni or cheese pizza for a team lunch?
Or what if they're calling you in to offer a promotion? You have to learn to sit with uncertainty without immediately filling it with disaster.
And I think it's important to remember that a brain that catastrophizes is simply a brain that cares deeply.
Yeah.
It wants desperately to protect you.
It does. So you can gently thank your brain for its concern and then very firmly ask it to please calm down. It takes patience and a little self-compassion.
It really does. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to explore on your own.
Oh, I love these.
We talked about how your brain is a remarkably creative storyteller when it invents disasters. What kind of beautiful reality could you build if you redirected that exact same creative power toward obsessively imagining everything going right?